Studies show side effects of private rhyme mixes on lack of depression, spontaneous movement, and baby making. You've been warned. When the music, when the rhythm, when the music, when the rhythm, when the music hit me, when the rhythm hit me. So come make you wine, wine, so come make you grind, grind, and it make you deep low, and it make you move slow. When the music hit me, when the rhythm hit me. So come make you wine, wine, so come make you grind, grind, and it make you deep low, and it make you move slow. Now wine and roll it, now wine and roll it, baby. Show them you control it, show them you control it, baby. The way you rise my passion, after that you know what happened. In your latest style and pattern, the way you move that bottom. When the music hit me, when the rhythm hit me. So come make you wine, wine, so come make you grind, grind, and it make you deep low. Now, hey girl, when I wake up this morning, I didn't know I was coming to this line. Whining on your behind was not my intention. When I saw you, you look so good, I look so fine. Was not from living, problems behind it. Like a starlight, I'll be the woman in my life.
Hey Mandy, how are you?
I'm gonna wine on you when you
Thanks for joining in early. Obviously, we are grabbing our daily heartbeat and liking the live, getting it to 5K likes. I joined a little bit early, just waiting for everyone to hop on in. Once we hit 5K likes, Mandy, you know what we're going to do. Good, glad to hear that you're doing good.
It's time to get up and start moving. Leaving all your problems behind it. We're pressing on to our victory. Oh, yeah. I woke up this morning and I feel it nice. But the path that I chose comes with battles to fight. As long as I'm living, my future is shaping. And where I am headed, got no time for problems.
Mandy, how was your day today, Mandy? What did you do? I'm doing good, Mandy. I was out on the road today, now I'm back home. How's my audio? Can you hear me? I love that part. Thumbs up in the chat if my audio is good. Is my audio good, Mandy? Okay, good. It's always good to get your health in order. That's good, Mandy. I'm glad everything is working out for you. Hey, Divine Alchemy, we are grabbing our daily heartbeat and liking the live. You already know, once we hit 5K likes, we're going to bring my guest on up for today. Once again, her Divine Alchemy, thank you for stepping in yesterday and joining my office hours. I really appreciated you, and I'm sure the guests appreciated the gems that you had to drop. Latricia, thank you for joining in. Welcome to Office Hours with Dr. Johnson. We are grabbing our daily heartbeat and liking the live. Once we hit 5K likes, we're going to go ahead and bring our guest on up. Everyone, thank you for joining in early. You know, we're grabbing our daily heartbeat and liking the live. Once we hit 5K likes, we're going to go ahead and bring our guest on up. I see you. We're going to go ahead and bring our guest on up once we hit 5K likes. Y'all know, once again, I feel like this is I'm a broken record. I'm back home in Jamaica, so I switched my tunes up. Thank you for the rose. I'm back home. I switched my tunes up, so I hope y'all are enjoying. Yesterday I did 2015. Today is a 2017 soca music playlist from DJ Private Ryan. Enjoy. We are getting to 5K likes. Grabbing our daily heartbeat. 5K likes. Our guest is coming on up. Thank you for joining on in. I'm excited for this conversation today. This is the last office hours for this week. Then we're going to reset. So I'm glad to wrap this week up with this guest specifically. We're going to be dropping gems, and I'm looking forward to today's conversation. Everyone, thank you for liking the live. I see you. Thank you for liking the live. Once we hit 5K likes, ale, 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 ale. Ale, 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 ale. Once we hit 5K likes, we're going to go ahead and bring our guest on up. Let me get my pen. Hold on. I woke up this morning and I'm feeling nice. And y'all know I got my. I'm ready. My guests, you see me? I'm ready for you, guests. Mm-mm-mm. How is my audio? Thumbs up in the chat if my audio is good. Before we start bringing up the guests, thumbs up in the chat if my audio is good. Everybody, ole. Perfect, thank you. 2K likes. Once we hit 5K likes, we're gonna go ahead and bring our guest on up. Thank you all for engaging, liking the live, grabbing a daily heart me, sending the gifts. Once we hit 5K likes, we're gonna go ahead and bring our guest on up. Okay, good. Mandy, I see I have you as moderator. Okay, good, Mandy. Just throughout the chat, just help me out throughout the chat. Before we bring our guest on up, thumbs up and a praying hands is me acknowledging everyone in the chat. A thumbs up and a praying hands is me acknowledging you guys in the chat. I don't want to interrupt my guests as they are speaking. Once again, a thumbs up or praying hands is me acknowledging you guys in the chat. And I have Mandy here to be my moderator throughout this session. Ooh. Y'all don't know nothing about this. I think one guest may know about this. How was everybody's Friday overall? Today was a sunny Friday. It was a sunny Friday here in Jamaica. I had a good lunch. I made it back home. I am chilling now. I'm gonna do my office hours, and then I have some ackee and saltfish to go eat. I'm having a great Friday. You know I got you, Doc. Perfect. Thank you, Mandy. Okay, Educator Hobbs says she's so jealous. Okay. Yes, I have some nice ackee and saltfish, and I think my lady fried me some breadfruit too. I'm having bread. You can eat ackee and saltfish any time of the day. Don't judge me. Once again, 5K likes. We're gonna bring our guest on up. Oh, real nice. Let me go ahead and see what I have open my time. Gotta go around. No problem, Mandy. Thank you for your help. Let me send the live. Let me send it to. Once again, grabbing our daily heart me and liking the live. 5K likes. We're bringing our guest on up. We're at 3.8K. We are almost there. Hang on in there. Enjoy my tunes. Oh, shit. You know what? You see, when I come back to Miami, I'm gonna have to figure out what background music I'm gonna play because I can't keep doing this. I used to have elevator music to keep it professional, but I wanted to share my culture with you all, so I switched it up. I was doing some dancehall, soca, reggae music. When I get back to Miami, I think I'm gonna do like some old school, crunk Florida music. I don't know yet. We'll see. We will definitely see. 4.4K likes. For those of you in here already, thank you for liking the live. Thank you for getting it to 5K likes. Once we hit 5K likes, I'm gonna go ahead and bring our guest on up. Am I gonna play Carnival this year? Yeah, I'm gonna play Carnival this year. Everyone just joining in, we are grabbing our daily heart me and liking the live to 5K likes. Where I'm from. Once we get to 5K likes, I'm gonna bring my guest on up. 4.8, 4.8. I see y'all in the chat working. 4.8, 4.8. We almost there. I feel like a car salesman or auction. 4.8, 4.8, 4.9, 4.9, 4.9. Don't it feel like that? 5K like perfect. Thank you. Y'all are the best. Educator Hobbs,
Hi, how are you?
how are you doing? Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can see you and I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. You gonna stay on off camera, or you gonna come up, or we just giving you a minute?
I can come on camera.
Okay. Thank you, Mandy.
Hi,
Um,
everyone.
let me make sure the audio is good. Me now? Perfect. Okay, Educator Hobbs, first and foremost, thank you so much for taking the time to step into office hours with Dr. Johnson. I know you are busy. I see you in these TikTok streets. I was referred to you and was sent your lives. I can't even remember from who because I've continuously just seen your content just revolving around these TikTok streets. So I appreciate what you're doing. And I wanted to invite you over here and collab and drop some gems. First and foremost, before I hand it over to you, Office Hours with Dr. Johnson is a way for me to connect with my community. And when I say the community, I mean those who are interested in going back to school, interested in healthcare administration, interested in professional development. I also wanted to connect other professionals who are doing great work in the community with my community and be like, hey, you don't just have to do healthcare. You don't just have to do higher education. There's so many other career pathways overall. I'm also big on representation. So I do like to highlight a variety of guests, which is why you're here. So I'm going to hand it over to you. Can you just give us a brief background? Who is Educator Hobbs, and include your educational and professional background? Be brief for that. You were in my live yesterday, so you don't have to give us too much because you know I got your questions laid out. So just a brief. Who is Educator Hobbs? Educational background, professional background.
Okay, so I am Educator Hobbs. That is my alias, if you would say. I have 18 plus years of experience in education. I have taught grades 6 through 12. I also work in administration. I'm an instructional specialist at the moment, where I provide professional learning to educators. One of the reasons why I decided to push my TikTok account is because I wanted to push positive content about education. Because if you go through your For You page, you'll see tons of negative content. But I wanted to make sure I was pushing that positive content because it's not all bad. I also do public speaking. I'm speaking at 3 different education conferences this summer. And I dabble in consulting work as well. And I'm also developing an app for educators. And this app will allow educators to move into the consulting field without pressure and without being afraid to put themselves out there under a safe umbrella. So it's an outlet for them to earn additional income without feeling like they have to be a principal or assistant principal.
Right, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I want to jump right into it. And you know, we're going obviously in this session, we're going to be swerving and pivoting and going through different topics. Okay.
Okay.
First, first off, what do you enjoy the most about being an educator?
One of the things that I love the most about being an educator is definitely seeing a light bulb turn on for my students, and then having a light bulb turn on for educators, just to ensure that they are furthering their craft as much as possible. So that's one thing that I love about what I do is making sure that I see that light bulb turn on, and I am one of the reasons that that happens.
Nice. With your years of experience in teaching, what subject do you enjoy the most teaching so far?
Okay, so I have a my bachelor's is in English. So I specialize in ELA,
Okay.
which is English Language Arts. So most of my professional development is geared toward literacy and English Language Arts. So yes.
Nice.
Yes, I can provide professional learning or professional development for all content areas because good instruction is good instruction.
Nice. I love that. Now, over here in Office Hours with Dr. Johnson, we always talk about pivoting and changing careers and not being afraid to start over. You just explained to us how you dib and dab and you do, you know, a variety of things. With your acquired skills and knowledge, what other area would you see yourself pivoting into and why?
Okay, so I have a bachelor's in education, English
Mm-hmm.
education. I have my master's in educational leadership. I have my specialist in curriculum and instruction. So the next thing that I'm going to be working on is my doctoral degree, which will be in instructional technology, because I feel like that would be the cherry on top of all of the different fields. So I'll be multifaceted in all arenas. So for me, I definitely want to move toward the ed tech sector, because that's booming right now. It's a $1 billion industry right now. So I am definitely looking forward to moving in that industry, and not so much to work in that area, work for someone else, but develop my own application and see where it goes. So we're all about becoming entrepreneurs and
Right.
looking at it in a different way, because I know our community always think we have to work for someone else, but why not
Work for
why not
yourself.
develop it? Why not be the developer?
Right. I
You
love
have an
that.
idea, don't be afraid to start it.
Exactly. I love that. Let's bring it back a couple of years for Educator Hobbs. Okay, young Educator Hobbs. Tell us briefly, how was your overall college experience?
Um, so I'm an introvert, but believe it or not, I was a cheerleader in in high school and middle school and in college. But I went to a small college, and that gave me the opportunity to get to know more students, get to know the staff, and then at the small college, I was given the opportunity to learn more about my teachers and my professors. So they gave me the opportunity to sprout out more and try different things, and then have someone to encourage me to be more. So that's a little bit about my college experience. I went to an HBCU, and I would not have changed that for the world.
Okay, and how did you did HBCU for undergrad? Did you do a HBCU for your graduate school, or did you do a PWI? And what was that difference? Yesterday with Her Divine Alchemy, we spoke about that. I just want to hear from your perspective as well too.
Yeah, so I started at so this is the crazy thing. I
Mm-hmm.
started at the University of Alabama, which is a PWI, but it just wasn't a good fit. So I
Mm-hmm.
decided to go to a neighboring HBCU, which I fell in love with because it felt like home. And then my master's and my specialist are from PWI. So I wanted to go a different route. But I think for my doctoral degree, I'm definitely going to go back to an HBCU, because I want that. Uh,
Experience.
yes. Hmm.
I like that. We over here we do discuss about changing your majors. When you were in undergrad, did you ever change your major, or once you started your bachelor's program, you knew what you wanted your major to be? Was that declared, or did you have to do trial and error? What was that like for Educator Hobbs?
So for me, I draw. I'm an artist at heart. So I paint, I draw, I write poetry, anything dealing with the arts, I'm all for it. And I'm an advocate for that in my field as well. But for me, I wanted to be an architect, but it had math involved in it. So I was like, you didn't tell me it had math. So
Right.
I was like, no, I don't think this field is for me. But if I had to do it all over again, I'm not sure if I would just go for it and push fear out of the way. But I love what I do because it's a purpose driven career,
Mhm.
and I make an impact every single day.
Right. Um, Last question on saying on college extracurricular activities. Even though you said you were an introvert, lots of us are introverts. Sometimes I tell people I'm shy too, but all my friends and coworkers are like, Anthony, you are fake shy. You're not shy in real life. You get up in front of a class, you teach multiple classes, you have over 150 students each semester. Man, you're not shy. As it relates to being a college student, extracurricular activities, let's say a student wants to get more involved on campus, what would you suggest?
I would definitely tell them to get active, because those skills that you're learning and those extracurricular activities, they translate to real world skills. So
Exactly.
those are the same skills that you're going to be utilizing when you step into your career. You're going to need to know how to work with people, work in a group. You're going to need to know how to network. You're going to need to know how to work as a team. All of these are different skills that you're going to utilize once you step into the workforce.
Right.
You're an entrepreneur, or you are the boss, or whether you're working for someone, you're going to use those skills later.
Nice. We're gonna switch gears, Educator Hobbs. I want to start talking about representation in education. How important is it for you to acknowledge representation in education? I always discuss representation in healthcare over here. You're a subject matter expert in education. How important is representation within the educational space?
It's absolutely important. So, one of the things that I typically do is bring in speakers, whether they're doctors, lawyers, judges, just different diverse audiences into the school system, because especially if you're working for a Title I schools, and those are the low income schools in here, just so that our students can see themselves. And sometimes when you see somebody in something that you're interested in or you never thought about, it gives you this idea that, hey, I can do that too. If she can do it, it's possible for me.
Right. Staying on the topic of education, right? You did some videos on student success. So obviously, I did my homework. I went to your page, took my notes. What does student success look like for you? I'm sure you said it like a broken record, but can you share it with us over here? What does the overall student success look like for you?
So I think student success starts with self-efficacy, having students believe that it's possible. Um, I can't tell you how often by me having a conversation periodically throughout the school year that changed the trajectory of the students' performance at the end of the school year. Just by them starting to believe in themselves, you'll start to see little things start to happen within their performance. So definitely student self-efficacy. And then also, let's see, what is another one? Self-efficacy and practice, giving them multiple times to practice that so that they can become successful at that particular topic or skill. So practice is important as well. And you're definitely not going to be good at it the first shot.
Right.
And letting students know that, hey, this is a process.
Mm-hmm.
And every little step is progress.
I love that. Staying on the topic of student success and the overall classroom experience, okay? How do you season your teaching practice to continue making them impactful and unforgettable within the classroom? You did a video on this. I loved it. I want to bring that conversation over to here.
For me, it's definitely understanding who my audience is, and I try to when I'm doing professional learnings with teachers, just having them understand that, hey, you have to learn who your students are, because ultimately they are the ones who are receiving the instruction that you're trying to push out. And then making sure that what you are doing is impactful. You're doing those formative assessments so that you can take that information or that data to reflect on what you are doing wrong or what you are doing right. So those are just some things that, as far as instructional practices, that have to be implemented to ensure student success.
Right, I love that. Over on within your community, you have something called the Teachers Lounge. Can you just shed some light on what is the Teachers Lounge and what can we get from that?
Okay, so when I first started my TT journey, I used to get in GROW rooms a lot, and I was like, you know what? I've never been in a teacher's lounge where the teachers had a conversation and it was something that carried on and on and on and on. I said, you know what would be extremely powerful? It would be powerful for a bunch of educators to be in one live room where we're talking about different education topics that affect each of us, especially across the nation and internationally. I think that we definitely can learn a lot from each other if we pose those questions and they were debatable questions and we were able to put that on the floor and talk about it. So I created the Teachers Lounge, and on Wednesdays at 6:30 EST, we talk about various topics, and then I have a panel just to ensure that everyone's voice is heard, and we make sure that the comments are read and that everyone is providing feedback to the topic so that we can learn from each other. And I'm the type of person that says, hey, you can learn from anybody. You can learn from anyone.
Right.
So don't ever think that you're too much where you know everything. You can always learn from someone.
Right. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I want to switch gears one more time. We're going to continue switching gears. How has the current political climate affected your overall work? A little controversial, but I like to highlight it as it relates to healthcare and as it relates to higher education. Educator Hobbs, what you got going on with it?
So I have seen a lot of teachers lose their a lot of teachers lose their jobs because a lot of funding has been lost in education. And a lot of jobs that were government jobs and a lot of jobs that were at the district office, a lot of them have been wiped away. So what was security for some has now been just torn down and they have to start over. Either they have to go back into classroom or rethink their career. Um, and for me, that's a little sad, especially when we work so hard to get the degrees that we have.
Right. Let me ask you something. What advice would you give someone who's interested in teaching or possibly interested in transitioning into teaching, but they see where the current political climate is going as it relates to higher education or this education period? What advice would you give them to be like, hey, this field is still rewarding, this field still has great work, this field is still impactful? What advice would you give someone in that space?
As far as being a teacher in the classroom, there are multiple jobs available. So if you are looking to get into the field, of course you have to start somewhere, which is to be in a classroom just to gain that experience to speak on other things. So if you are interested in being an educator, definitely come on board. I mean, those are the safest places to be because as an educator, you sign a contract at the beginning of the school year, and that contract keeps you safe until the end of the school year. So you have a job up until the end of the school year and a consistent paycheck and consistent insurance up until the end of the school year. But there are some contingencies to that, excuse me. Because if you do something wrong, of course, there's legalities with that. Just thinking about that, it is a safe job to have and it's a purpose driven career. I cannot say that enough, that it's a purpose driven career.
Right.
You must come into it not for the money, but because you want to make an impact.
Right. Right. Thank you for sharing that. I have a few topics that I have listed here. I just want to go through them. It's three topics, okay?
Okay.
Some I pulled from your page because I do my homework once again. Importance of building school culture. What is the importance of building your school culture? Educator Hobbs, drop that gem.
So school culture is everything. That one of the quotes that stuck with me is your school culture is how your teachers feel on Sunday night.
Okay. Right. Like, damn, I gotta go back.
Exactly. Your school culture is what your teachers feel on Sunday night. So I think that is impactful because you have to create an environment where they want to be there. Especially because your teachers impact student success because they are the ones who are with the children every single day. So I think how your teachers feel is a direct connection, a direct correlation to how your students are going to perform. And then also just providing those opportunities within your school for your students to feel like, hey, I really like to come to school. How are you incentivizing their performance? How are you providing moments where they are celebrated? These are some things that definitely impact school culture.
Right. I love that. Continuing with the topics. Advice you would give educators as they close out the school year and prepare for the upcoming one.
Ooh, one of the things that I'm a stickler for is reflection. Definitely going in and not just reflecting on the data from your students, but reflecting on your instructional practices. One of the posts that I'm going to post today talks about the education conferences that are available throughout the summer, just so that you can provide the professional development for yourself so that you're continuously learning. Because of course, within education, we're ongoing learners. I will, no matter, and I believe no matter what career you're in, you always should be considered an ongoing learner. Did you catch that? Because it got quiet. Okay.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. One last thing. One last. Can you hear me?
Yes. It's going in and out, but I
Yeah.
can.
One last topic. The butter. Okay, the butterfly effect in education. I took that from you. What
Okay.
is the butterfly effect in education?
Okay, so that's just something that, as far as the reality of the situation, is something that you step out of the reality of that, and it's not literal. Okay, so that's the butterfly effect.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Um, as we all know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, okay? And I always like to just throw in a couple questions as it relates to mental health for this month. I'm going to continue doing it. However, as it relates to being a teacher, being an educator, that field can be taxing, that field can be draining. What are some best practices that Educator Hobbs does to stay on top of her mental health overall?
So if you look at my content, I'm an avid gym member, so I'm constantly going to the gym. That is something that I practice every single day, just to make sure that I'm not only sound physically, but I'm sound mentally as well. Making sure that I do devotion every morning before I get out of bed. Meditating. I'm definitely praying. For myself, my family, and my students, because they are a part of my family as well, and the teachers and my colleagues. Um, those are just some things that I practice, and also journaling. Journaling is very important. It's key to reflection. So these are just some different things that I practice as far as mental health, and I try to push that uh, content on my profile, just to ensure that teachers understand you have to do other things outside of your career, just to ensure that you are physically and mentally okay.
Okay, perfect. I love that so much. Now, before we wrap it up, I'm going to ask you this last question that I ask all of my guests. Educator Hobbs, what is your overall why? Your overall why as it relates to the work that you do as an educator, your overall why as it relates to being a Black woman in this current political climate or working within this current political climate, your why as it relates to you being an entrepreneur and starting your own app. What is your push? What is your overall why?
Okay, for me, I come from a poor background, so I just want a little girl or a little boy to understand that it's possible to get out, and you don't have to settle for what you are. Education can excel you to places that you never expected. And this is a big world, and you have the opportunity to make an impact. But you have to be consistent, and you have to have discipline. Those things go hand in hand with success.
Right.
So those are just some things that I constantly remind students. And also, when I think about my why, I think about the reason why I got into education, which was one of my home ec teachers when I was in high school. She never gave up on the students that she taught. And she was always there to encourage you, to tell you that you could do better. And I think that's one of the reasons why self-efficacy is so important to me, because the belief that you can do something is paramount to your success.
Right, perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that. Once again, thank you so much for taking the time to step into office hours with Dr. Johnson. We're definitely going to collab in the future, but thank you so much for penciling me in on your busy schedule, because I know you be in these TikTok streets. So thank you so much once again, okay?
Yes, I appreciate you for having me, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
No problem. Let me disconnect you, okay? So you can keep your points, okay? Once again, just a quick recap, everyone. That was Educator Hobbs. We went over her educational and professional background. We discussed what she enjoys the most about being an educator. Thank you so much for your heart, me. We discussed what her favorite subject is to teach overall. It's English. And then we discussed pivoting and changing your majors. That's a common topic that I like to discuss in my office hour sessions. We also discussed what advice she would give educators as they close out the school year. And obviously, I had her share what is the Teachers Lounge? How can we participate as an educator in the Teachers Lounge? And then most importantly, best practices for mental health and what she does to make sure her head top stays on her head top overall. Once again, thank you for joining this Office Hours with Dr. Johnson. I'm gonna come back maybe next week, or maybe I'll come back once I fly back to Miami. I'm not sure yet, but this is the last office hour sessions for this week. I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my 2 weeks while I'm here in Jamaica. I will see y'all soon.